location, think about your best skills, your target market that you want to go after, and choose your strategy based on that. So, for example, if you want to do a luxury serviced accommodation business, right? Good evening, everybody. Good evening. Peter and Isma here. We're here together, as you can see. Hope everyone's well. It's been a little while since we have done one of these, so we are very, very pleased to be back and pleased to have you with us. So if you're here, please say hi. We are very, very keen to see you guys on, so please just stick a comment below, give us a like or something to that effect, and we will say hi and put you on the screen as always. So today we're talking with Peter because first of all, it's been a long time. We really wanted to come back on screen. We missed you guys. But secondly, we wanted to talk a little bit about one of our favorite topics, which is rent to rent. Peter, what are we going to talk about this evening? What are we going to say about rent to rent?
First of all, thanks for everyone to tuning in, and we're really happy to come back and having this fun with you. And just on that note, you mentioned we came back because we really missed you. That's absolutely 100% true. But because we always miss the screen. We also miss the screen. We love this. We love to do this, but unfortunately, or not, rather not. We've been really busy with this plan in the last couple of months now, and that's why we had plenty of stuff to cope with, and also we all agreed on one thing. If we do these shows live with you guys, we definitely want to provide the best possible value. But there is only two of us, but there is some very good, well-known or with good knowledge experience in property guests or anything. But we definitely want to give you something which you can use and actually you can have. And just for your question, today is absolutely from rent to rent. It's not just about rent to rent, service accommodation or HMO, it can be anything. But one of the things we're doing now, which we really love and really enjoy, actually smashing our targets, where we are now, we really love the fact where we've been started and where we became this way since last 2-3 years. And we have also a huge aims and goals, and we're going to show you very soon what those goals and what those aims, because we're going to come back every Tuesday and we're going to come back during the week as well a couple of times. But the main thing is what we would like to give you to you who are just starting or just thinking to starting. Maybe I want to start, I might not, and maybe it's too much, or whether it's for me, or what's going to happen if my deal falling through, or what's going to happen if I underestimate no numbers or overestimate. All these questions, hopefully we can answer, and I can guarantee, guys, if you stay with us for the next 20-30 minutes, we're going to give you a very good base you can build on, and actually it could make or break your deal, or it could even decide whether your first deal is going to be success or not.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely. I'm just going to say hi to a couple of people. So Nicoletta, hello. How are you doing? Thank you for tuning in. And Paula, good to see you, Paula, as always. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Everybody else, while you're watching, please just stick a comment below. We really love to hear from you guys. So it's not just us; it's about you as well. So if you wanna see your name on the screen, please do just say hi. So Peter, so rent to rent. That's what we're going to talk about. So we spoke about a few things already. Yeah. So why rent to rent? What would you do with it? Because everybody who knows what rent to rent is, they're always going to go, oh, should I do serviced accommodation? Should I do HMO? What's your take on that one?
Sometimes I feel we cover this subject a lot of times, and it's not so boring. Sometimes when we choose the subject, it's not so boring to talk about the same thing, but we always make it a bit different from the others, like previously when we talk about rent-to-rent. And also, we still come across plenty of questions during our weeks, on days when people asking the same questions. So actually, sometimes we surprise how rent-to-rent, whether it's service accommodation, whether it's HMO, whether it's deal packaging or deal sourcing, how much, even though the lot of content available on social media from us, from other people as well, within our group and other groups as well, and books and all the courses and online, and a lot of stuff is for free, but still a lot of questions. And always, I want to start in rent-to-rent. I want to make my first deal. How to do it? If you were me, how would you do it? So we can absolutely talk about this. Rent-to-rent is a great strategy, and just back to your question, Isfan, rent-to-rent is a great strategy, and I think I would be nowhere, and I think you can say the same thing as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
If we didn't start with rent-to-rent, because the reason is, once you understand the business model itself, whether you choose service accommodation or HMO, if you understand the rent-to-rent model itself, and also the type of rent-to-rent you're going to use, whether it's service accommodation or HMO, so obviously the property you're looking for, and your marketing, and your guests or tenants, so your audience will be different. So once you understand, and really understand, because sometimes people, I feel, they think they understand, but they don't. And even after courses and masterminds and mentorship, they still coming and asking very, very surprising questions. So rent-to-rent is a crucial and one of the best strategy in the world, regardless what other people say. Some people say it's not even a property strategy. And just because you're not going to put a huge amount of money in a deal, and just because you're never going to own actually the property, you might be own. How many people we speaking, and in our network, and even we have a lease option where we actually managed to negotiate, even on my flat, my previous flat, I negotiated the lease option to purchase. So how many rent deal actually can turn out you eventually going to own it, but you're only going to be own it but you already made so much money, and you have the money to put into the deposit and even more to add the value to the property. So those people, I'm just telling to those people, this is a great strategy. And especially when someone is starting and we haven't got 50, 60K, let's say, to do a BRR type of deal, or putting a deposit for a buy-to-let, a quickest and best strategy in earth to make and build up your, not just for rent-to-rent, you can build up multiple rent-to-rent by using and reinvesting your money.
Absolutely. Just going to say hi to a couple of other people. So Gary, great to see you, Gary. Haven't seen you in a while, so hope you're all well. Good to see you.
Hi, Gary.
Tony, good to see you again.
Always.
Hope your marathon went well yesterday or the day before. Well done. And Tony's got some great announcements for you guys as well in the next couple of days. I'm sure he's going to get on himself. If not, I will make him get on live and actually announce his achievements. I'm very proud of Tony at the moment. So he's one of our mentees, and he's doing some really, really cool stuff. So I'm super, super excited for him. So,
absolutely.
So yes, so we talked about what sort of rent-to-rent would you choose, but or what sort of strategy would you use? So rent-to-rent is obviously one of those things, but within rent-to-rent you could do service to accommodation or HMOs. That's kind of what my question was in relation to. So so people have a bit of a trouble with this. Should I go with one or should I go with the other? Now we always say that, look, you have to choose between one or the other right at your start. Definitely choose one because they're different beasts. An HMO is different from a service to accommodation, completely different. So don't mix them two together, especially when you're starting out, because you could just get yourself really confused. So think about your location, think about your best skills, your target market that you want to go after, and choose your strategy based on that. So for example, if you want to do a luxury service to accommodation business, right? but you're going to do it in a mining town where it's literally full of blue-collar workers, and your nightly rates are through the roof because you are trying to attract the luxury end of the market, it's probably not going to work very well, because the people around there are not going to be able to pay the rates that you are actually going to charge. So you need to cater for your actual market. A nice HMO business, for example, probably work very well in that town because that's the sort of demand that is likely to be there. So that's what we mean. Don't choose something that because you think it's really cool because everyone on Facebook doing it. Have a think about it. Think about your location. Have a think about your skill set. What you know. And what you actually want to do. Are you happy to deal with tenants on a weekly or monthly basis? Or do you prefer to deal with guests who come and maybe stay for 3 days and then you perhaps never see them again? So those are the sort of things I think are really, really crucial for everyone to think about, really. And have your eyes, wide open when you get into these, just to understand what actually comes with these before you make a choice.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Istvan summarized it very, very well, because that the thing is, guys, choosing the right strategy to the right location. That's what Istvan actually talking about. Choosing the right strategy to the right location is number one. So if you miss this because you really fancy with the other strategy, which is never going to suit to your local area, or because you fancy with a very good strategy, because I love service accommodation, but because I can't do in my hometown and I go and gonna start to travel 100 miles away, that's going to cause you a lot of negativity and a lot of obstacles to overcome. That's why choosing the right strategy to to your location. And when I'm saying to the right location, preferably especially when you're starting out, to your location where you actually live, and the location you actually know, and all the streets, because it's going to save you time with the viewings. It's going to help you when you're analyzing deals, because you're going to know all the streets and all the important factor you actually factoring in your deals. And you're also going to be able to analyze other things as well much better. So all your process and all your first deal and all your growing going to be faster, because you're going to be a professional way, and you're going to choose the strategy according to your location rather than choosing the location according to your fancy strategy, if it makes sense. So this is the number one, and it's absolutely crucial, and a lot of people fail right here. A lot of people we've been speaking and talking, they fail right here, number one. What do you think, Istvan? What would be the second very important thing, especially when you're starting out? What would be the second very important thing you should never miss, and you should always do it rightly?
So let's suppose that you've actually decided your strategy and you want to go further, and you've called a few agents, you found some properties that you're really, really interested in. They would actually suit your strategy, because I think that's the most important thing. Pick a property that will actually suit your strategy. And then you want to do a viewing. I think the viewing is, again, another step where I think a lot of the deals do fall down, because people don't do them properly. And when I say viewing, I don't just mean the viewing when you're there. You need to actually prepare for the viewing. So before you even go to the viewing, you want to go and have a really good understanding of the area this property is located in, the amenities around, are there schools around, are there local shops, is there a takeaway, is there a bus stop nearby, or is there a tube station, and all these things. Is there a big business park perhaps not too far from you? Or if you're looking to do serviced accommodation, is there maybe a hotel, or is there a Premier Inn that's nearby, kind of indicating that it's probably a good location for what you're trying to do. So once you've got all those, a little bit of desktop research is what I like to call it, before you go to the viewing. And then you go to the viewing with your sort of research in your head. So you know that, this is actually now sounding like it could be a deal. So now all I need to do is make sure that the actual property itself is suitable. So then you check the property throughout, making sure that, you are going to need to spend, half a mortgage basically on the property to be getting it up to speed, get it to the level that you actually need. So prior preparation is really, really, really important. And once you get the viewing, make sure you check everything. You make notes of things. What is it that needs fixing? You know, are the room sizes the right room sizes? Are they too small? Are they compliant? You know, because let's say if you're doing an HMO, there are minimum room size requirements that you need to make sure that you've got them ticked. Because there's no point taking on a four bedroom house thinking you can do a 5-bedroom HMO out of it, and it turns out that 2 of the bedrooms are actually too small and you can't actually let them out, because you end up with instead of a 5-bedroom house, you end up with a 3-bedroom house very quickly. And all of a sudden, not only you're not making money, you're actually losing money.
Do you remember that viewing?
Yes, we did. We had a viewing actually. It's exactly like this. Somebody had done a very good refurb on the house actually.
Yeah,
I thought it was
nice.
really well done. Property was excellent condition.
Excellent location as well.
Excellent location as well. Yes.
Perfect for HMO. Perfect.
Perfect HMO location. A perfect amenities inside the house. I think it was all en suite.
Yeah, it was all en suite. Yeah,
all en suite.
All en suite. Yeah.
Yeah. The only problem was with the all en suite house that one of the rooms was too small, and 2 of the other rooms opened straight into the kitchen, which means that for fire safety regulations, you can't actually use them as bedrooms, because your only exit is straight into the main source of fire, which is the kitchen. So out of a 5-bedroom house, we ended up with two bedrooms that were usable. So that was a very quick no from us. And there's a big lesson to be learned there, because someone spent a lot of money on their house to get it up to that speed, get it up to the level. And I'm not entirely sure what they use it for right now.
I'm really sorry for the guy, for his project manager or advisor. I don't know who is with the landlord, poor landlord. This is the reason why Istvan mentioned, because you might say, oh guys, it's boring, choosing the right strategy and then doing the right viewing, but you can see 95% of not just Menti, but 95% of the people who actually be speaking to, who want to start in property, they would fail both, number 1 and number 2. They would fail. And one of the reasons is, let's say, if you are really keen to get that property, because drive is very important, so you need to want it, you need to sacrifice for it. But sometimes this feeling can make you, when you see a property like this, and you just actually, all you're gonna do, just taking a couple of pictures, and the video, oh, it's beautiful, oh, it's big rooms, good sizes, oh, everything is all right, it's gonna be a nice HMO, and you somehow fail to take measurements, let's say, for example, because of the excitement, and because of, honestly, the rooms looked okay.
They did, until you measured them.
They didn't, but they looked okay, but you know, sometimes you would say, oh, because you might forget, you know, the measure stuff, or because you just too excited to doing the pictures and the videos, and you would fail, and you would have end up offering on this property, and by the time you go there and calling the council, actually giving the permission to run as a HMO, you would find out you have a 2-bed HMO. So whether you're working with investors or for yourself, you would fail on that project straight away. That's why it's so important. There are steps during the process which we try to show you today, guys. There are obviously not enough time to cover everything, but we try to do the steps. So this is the second step, to be prepared for the viewing. Obviously, as long as you're not in the property, you can't take measurements, but you can do the desktop analyze, as Istvan very rightly mentioned. So you have a rough idea. And once you're in a property, you need to make sure you understand the property. And if it's a HMO or anything, you need to do the measurements, and you also need to check at least small maintenance issues, opening doors, windows, to check whether you're going to need to spend or refurb or big maintenance cost. Because if you do, then your numbers should be presented to your investor or to yourself or to your partners accordingly. Because guys, if you miscalculate it with £200, that's okay. But if you miscalculate it to 2-3 grand, that deal is not the same deal anymore. Or if you miscalculate it because you don't take measurements, you lost it. You're going to have a 5 years contract, especially if you're going to cover later the contract, the importance of the contract, without, God forbid, and without taking the deal, without break the right break clause. You're going to have a 5 years deal when you need to pay the rent, and you can't even use your property. That's why it's so important to make sure everything is all right on the viewing. Even before the viewing, during the viewing, you should have a plan for each of the steps.
Yes, definitely. Before we go any further, I've just got a couple of people who've commented. So Kenny says hi. Hi, Kenny.
Hi,
Good to
Kenny.
see you, buddy.
Long time.
Long time no see. And we got Nicoletta who's asked a question. So I'm going to read this out to you, Peter. So I struggle with getting around the contract side of it, as I don't want to breach mortgage terms if they have a mortgage, and owners not panicking when pointing out to them that they need to check with the lender if they are allowed to do SA in the first place.
Oh, yes, absolutely, Nicoletta.
Yes.
It's a great question. We just have a deal. We're literally waiting on the landlord answer back. This is going to be yes or no from the mortgage broker. Yes, you need to check. However, I know plenty of this and plenty of people who are actually doing service accommodation, and actually by the contract, as long as you have the permission from the landlord regarding subletting the property on short-term basis to your clients, you will be fine. This is more responsibility of the landlord, because if the landlord don't check it or haven't got the permission and still give it to you regardless and give you the permission, actually it's gonna be the issue. But the problem is with this, if something happens, or if the lender finds out that actually they can stop your business, they can stop the landlord, and actually you can lose your investment. So that's true. It's more risk and responsibility of the landlord, but it's also the responsibility and risk for yourself as well. So it's good to check. As I said, we had just the deal. We're literally waiting on the mortgage broker from the landlord, and once we're okay, we're good to go. And this is how it goes. This is how it works. So yes, definitely better to find deals where there is no mortgage, or the landlord has to ask the lender whether it's allowed or not. You can always tell the landlord. There are a lot of brokers out there actually changing buy-to-let mortgage product. They can change it to commercial. So this is service accommodation short-term. They call short-term products. They can change it. That's another question whether the landlord want to change it or don't want to change it. Or obviously it depends on how long they have left from the term, how much extra expenses, the extra interest going to cost them, whether you covering the extra expenses, and also how long contract you are offering. So once you're presenting your offer to them, even if the answer was no from the lender, you can still absolutely, by all means, ask brokers around the community. Maybe we can help as well, because we have brokers as well, and they can offer the landlord to change it to short-term products.
Absolutely. I think this could be your opportunity, actually, Nicoletta, to build that relationship with this landlord, by offering them to help out with this situation, and explain your services even more, so they understand that yes, okay, it may be a little bit of a short-term pain to switch over the mortgage to the one that actually supports a serviced accommodation, but the long-term benefit for them, it outweighs that short-term pain. So I think, again, it can easily be discussed with them. They just need a little bit of willingness. Now, of course, if they just signed a 5-year fixed mortgage with the, where the, not the break clause, I can't remember another word now, when they have to pay to actually get out of the fixed term, the penalties, then obviously that's not really a good option for them. So that you will perhaps come up against people like that. That's probably one that you walk away, because I don't think that's going to be beneficial for the landlord. But in other cases, I think there could easily be a way around this. So just trying to explore, trying to offer the help with your network, and I'm sure you get to a good deal. So I hope that helps, Nicoletta, but please do let us know if there's anything that you need further clarification on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, so we spoke about the viewings. What else is there to really watch out for, Peter? What's the next step in the process that people should really watch out for as they're going through the process of getting their end-to-end deal?
So once you had the strategy and once you had the viewing, you are maybe even presented your offer. So let's just for argument's sake, you already have your property and you already signed the contract. If we're missing this part now, the contract part, we're gonna cover another because the contract, talking about the contract is a whole live itself. It's so important. That's another thing you can miss it. So let's say
that's a whole other conversation.
That's a whole other conversation. Maybe it's a good idea to maybe next week or the week after we can cover contracts. How important the contracts and how important the clauses is very good, I think. So setting up your property and choosing your marketing according to your target audience. That's an absolutely crucial step as a third step, because if you don't know your property very well, and you don't know your local area, and you don't know who's going to be your target audience. And if you don't know none of this, there is no way you're going to have a nice and happy business, because you can't even calculate your estimated profits, your estimated nightly rates. And anyway, how can I sell something if I don't know who I'm going to sell it to? I need to know who I'm going to sell it to. So I need to know my audience, and I need to not just choose my property, but set up my property and starting my marketing according to your target audience. But if you got the first step and the second right, then the third one, you are in a position, you understand your area, you understand your competition, you understand your marketing, so you understand your audience, so you're going to understand your marketing. So choosing and setting up the property, what we mean by that? So if you, let's say, you want to target corporates, let's say, you want to target corporates because your local area is perfectly suitable there. You cannot buy the cheapest furniture and the cheapest quality stuff, because you can get away, even if it's service accommodation, you can get away with student service accommodation, or contractor service accommodation, you can get away. But you definitely cannot target corporates, high-end corporates, or even high-end leisure, luxury sector. You can't target, or exactly the opposite. If you want to target corporates, you don't need to buy the most expensive stuff, and you don't need to thinking so much about the setup itself, because your target audience is, let's say, contractors or students, and already universities or works, regeneration projects in nearby. So you're going to attract customers from there. You can even do leafleting to them, or you can even use put your leaflet on the board as well. So you're gonna be easily to attract these people. You don't need to spend so much money. So that's why it's so important setting up your property and establish your marketing according to your target audience. So crucial.
Absolutely. Just got a couple of comments to put up. So Nicoletta says, it was helpful. Thank you very much. You're absolutely most welcome. Glad we could help. And Tony says, sorry guys, I need to go. Thank you for your help. Ishvan and Peter are great mentors, everyone. Oh, thank you, Tony. Thank you. Very much appreciate your comment. And yeah, I'm glad we could help Nicoletta there. So the other thing I was going to say on this, what you just mentioned, is absolutely agree. Knowing your targets audience is super important. Yes, because you can't market otherwise, really. And the other thing you need to know, I think, if you are going to be running service accommodation or an HMO business, wherever you are, is you need to understand your competition. Because let's not kid ourselves, guys. We're not the first people who do service accommodation or HMO, right? There are probably 50 to 100 people in your town, wherever you are, who are doing, or at least have tried to do something similar. Now, it's good to know what is out there, because you operate in this pond, essentially, which is your local market, and you need to know what happens in that pond, what sort of other fish in that pond, so you need to understand, is there a couple of big fishes in there, or is it just lots of little fishes swimming around? Is there a big shark somewhere, a big scary shark who's gobbling up all the little fish, so you need to really get under the skin of all the numbers. So lots of ways you can do research. So, service accommodation, for example, you could do research on Airbnb, find out who's listing what on there, what prices, what sort of quality, because it's equally important. You need to know quality and you need to know the prices for you to be able to really gauge where you're actually going to do, where you're going to launch yourself in that market. Am I going to be in the luxury and really expensive, or am I going to be, down at the bottom and actually going to cater for the contractors who don't really need the fancy stuff? They just need a place to stay at. So have that range, understand your range, understand where your competition are pricing themselves and what they're offering for that price, and then you can have a really nice rounded view of what is actually happening in your market and what you can and can't do, or should or shouldn't do. Yeah.
Absolutely. This is checking the competition. Obviously, this already should be a part of your due diligence before you even do the deal. But even after, it's very, very important to do this, because without that, you can't even calculate your numbers. So if you don't know the competition around before you even sign up for any deal, you can't even give the offer to the landlord. You can't even offer this deal to your investor because you don't know the numbers. So you need to know the numbers, and in order for you to know the numbers, you need to check your competition, because those are going to be the guys who actually going to compete with, and those are going to be the guys who actually has a big influence about the price, even your prices. And just because they're working on some prices, and it's very important in marketing, just because they're working on some prices doesn't mean you can be more expensive. But you also need to know the quality of the accommodation and the service they provide alongside the accommodation.
Service, yes, absolutely. Service I didn't even mention, yes.
And that's a very important
Very
thing.
good point.
Let's say you provide a food service, just for an argument, you provide a food service as an extra service, so you can charge more. Or you have a hot tub in your garden, you can charge extra. Or you have...
or if you have hot water in the house.
Or if you have hot water in the house. Or if you have a huge balcony with the city view, you can charge extra and you can charge more. So it doesn't necessarily mean you need to be cheaper than your competition. You can be on the same level, or you can be even higher, but you need to justify that. And you not only need to justify that, that's later coming when we cover marketing, but you also need to sell this. Just like you mentioned just before the question from, sorry, what was the name?
Nicoletta,
sorry, Nicoletta, your question. Selling, like you need to sell this to the landlord, this idea to actually change the products. When it comes to things like this, and this apply for service accommodation or HMO rooms selling as well, the selling, how good salesman you are, it's also playing a huge influence. How good salesman you are, actually you selling. Some people, sorry for the word, and sorry for this, some people can sell shit as well, because that's how good salesmen they are. But in order for you...
Selling ice to the Eskimos.
Yes, exactly. But in order for us to sell anything, we need to understand what we're selling and how much we're selling it for. And we need to justify it in our marketing message.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. The other thing that's worth putting out here as an extra point here is, so once you've done all your research, once you've actually understood your market, is you got to stand out somehow, guys. So your HMO room or your serviced accommodation apartment or unit, it's got to stand out somehow. So think about what is it that you're going to do different from the rest of the market, or is it just something that you really like that is clearly working for someone in the market, and you just want to do something similar but maybe a little bit better than that. So making your place stand out is an absolutely crucial point, and I can't emphasize it enough. Now, sometimes you don't have to do a huge amount of extra things for your rooms to be, standing out from the crowd. All it takes is for you to maybe take better pictures of that room that actually is equally good as the one next door. So professional pictures, making sure everything is absolutely pristine when those pictures are taken. Because think about this: you selling if it's a serviced accommodation, you're selling that idea that someone wants to stay at the place, right? Yeah. If you got an HMO room, you want to sell the idea that someone wants to live in that room, someone who wants to make it their home. So how can you make that happen? How can you make that a room look like a home where someone would actually want to live for 6 months, a year, 2 years, if you're lucky, maybe 3 years, if it's a good tenant, or if it's a serviced accommodation, a guest who wants to stay for a week, 2. If it's corporate, maybe they want to stay for a month. Yeah. So how do you make that? And that's the thing. sometimes that's another step where people tend to just fall down a little, because they go, oh, well, I've got a great phone, you know, I can take great pictures with it. Yes, you can, absolutely, totally agree. But you can do just a little bit better for an extra couple of £100. And those extra couple of £100 will make themselves, you know, they repay themselves so quickly, you won't even believe. So, Peter, you've got some amazing pictures of all the apartments that you put on the internet, and I think they definitely bring in more customers than if you were doing them with your phone. I think you all agree with that, right?
Yeah, thank you for kind words. Yes, absolutely. But it's mainly thanks to my team, not for me. Not to me, sorry. It's mainly thanks to Adita. She's the one who actually designing. She's got very good skills in interior designing skills and eyes. You don't need to be interior designer. You don't even need to hire one, but you have to have some kind of sense or feeling of how colors should match in a property, because sometimes you don't need to spend a huge amount of money to make the property look stand out and stunning, sometimes even luxurious. And using the professional picture on top of that, and professional videographer with HD videos can make it look like even more standout and luxury. Just by using good quality light furnishing and decoration stuff, and also good matching colors, you can do actually magic from even from cheap price.
Absolutely.
This is absolutely secret from us. Well, tonight you don't need to spend £5,000 on a property if you can only if you only good with 1.5 or £2,000 to spend, or 2.5. You can still make it very, very nice, and still can be standout your property, because that's a very other important thing to mention. Being standout, like Istvan mentioned, so make your property standout is absolutely crucial, because if you're not, and your property not, too many service accommodation on the market, too many, and you need to compete with them on continuous basis. You need to tweak listing, change prices, but one thing you cannot change, it's the original setup and the pictures you took, because otherwise you're gonna need to go again, spending your money, changing your stuff, doing again the photos. It's gonna cost you at least £1,000, and it's a very, very, very solid price. I just mentioned it can be much more. So you need to be very, very mindful of what you're spending and what you're buying to your property to make it stand out, and also about the professional pictures and the HD videos, absolutely crucial. So if we cover this, what would be the last, seventh? I think it's going to be seventh. So what do you think, Istvan, would be the seventh absolutely crucial thing in order to make your rent-to-rent success?
So I think we spoke a fair bit about marketing. So I think probably the last point was around marketing as well. So, you know, making sure that you
just mentioned.
Yeah, so around that as well. I think using your time effectively in all this process is also very crucial, I think, for you to actually have a successful rent-to-rent business. So what I mean by that is, you know, we're all good at certain things. We're not good at everything, let's face it. I'm certainly not good at everything, and neither is Peter. But we know that what our strengths are, and we know that what we need to get some help with. So, and that's something that we've come across quite a lot over the last few months, really, with some of our mentees as well. That everybody thinks that they are the best at everything, and everyone really likes to give it a go. And I really admire that. But I think there comes a time when you have to realize that it's actually good to hire in a professional to help you out with those things. So, for example, Peter just mentioned having professional photography, HD videos. Now, I could muck about with my own camera. I've got a fairly good phone, but I could never take, videos and pictures as good as the photographer does. So, it's worth me spending a couple of £100 on someone to come and actually do that for me, because I know they do a far better job. And it's always a conundrum for people who go, do I spend the £200 or do I save that and I actually just do it myself? I can almost guarantee that you'll be kicking yourself in a year's time why you not did it for £200 right at the start. because, like Peter just said, you can never go back.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to go back in time. So it's, you need to sort of sometimes bite the bullet. So, and it's not just a photographer, it's other things as well. So again, if you're not good at, certain admin tasks, just, don't, or certain tasks, not just admin tasks, but just, give it to someone who's actually good at it. Don't try to be the new accountant, for example, if you've never done accountancy in your life. Or if you're not good with your marketing, for example, if you actually need some help putting your social media posts together for you, for example, to actually have a really effective presence on social media, then maybe just speak to someone who's, who can do that for you. So all those little things, because all those are parts of your business once you set it up. Figure out what you're really good at and use your time wisely on those things that are really good at. If sales is your best thing and you know that you are the best at talking to agents, then you go and do it and get someone else to do the rest of it for you, because that will probably bring in the most business for you. Yeah, that's kind of I think that's my last statement.
Absolutely, couldn't agree more. Just a good example, guys. I can do a lot of things, even maintenance works I could do. When Anita asking me to do the garden, or putting the TV bucket in the wall, or fixing the bed, or assemble the IKEA furniture, I can do it. I show her how can I do it in the last couple of weeks, because I'm not really done it before, so I can do it.
Yeah.
But for me to do it, it takes exactly 10 times more, not to mention my mind and my negative activity, which is a negative affection, which I come across when I'm doing these jobs, because obviously this is not my skills and I don't really like to do this stuff. But I show her I can do it, and I did it. Obviously, if I just call someone, I just told her, if I just call someone, all the things I'm struggling with the last couple of weeks would have been done for someone within maximum a day or half a day, to fixing everything in a professional way. But now I did it. But at least, we're always learning new skills. But when it comes to your business, one of the main things we're always teaching and showing to our mentees, use your best skill. Use your skills as your best skills, according to your business, apply to your business, and everything else outsource and find other people to do it for you. Try to find your best skills, and when you're hiring people, try to find their best skills as well, and use everyone, not just yourself, but everybody in your team, accord their best skills, because that's the only. It sounds easy, but believe me, it's not. Some people don't even understand or don't know what we're talking about sometimes, but it's honestly, it's just sit down and just have a look, have a think, what would be the best 3 things I'm really good at it. I really like it, I really want to do it, and I'm really good at it. And when you hiring, and when you realize what are those, how many other things there are, still you need to do it. And what you're going to do with all those tasks, hire the people for those tasks you are not good at, and hire the people, obviously, by when you're advertising and when you do the interviews, obviously you want those skills who are able to cover those tasks you are not the best at. And that's always, we're always learning this, sometimes from our mistakes. We just try to tell you from our life and from our experience as well. This is works, guys. All the successful people, all the rich people teaching this, and not just teaching, showing. And we as well using it in our business. I'm using it for a couple of 2 years as well, because believe me, even before I wasn't always sure about this, and I wasn't always 100% knew about this. And eventually I found my way. We found our way, and we're living as we're speaking. So we actually really focusing on those skills we have, and we're hiring for all the other people as well.
Absolutely. And it's working quite well.
Yeah, it's working quite well. Yeah,
exactly.
Absolutely.
Right. So, is there anything else that you want to share, Peter? I think that may be it from us for today.
This was 7 secrets from us how to make your end-to-end business success. We just barely covered 2 things from this 7. One is a contract part, which would be actually the 8th, and there is a 6th point was marketing, which I just barely covered. The reason why, because we should do these 7 secrets how to make your rent-to-rent business, we should do another 2 episodes at least minimum, where 1 episode we only cover the contracts and the other episode we only cover marketing, because contracts and marketing, it's a game. If you don't get this right with all the rest we mentioned, you're not going to have a successful business, not just in rent-to-rent, but in none of the other business. Contracts, understand clauses, and understand marketing and doing the marketing the right way. It's 2 absolutely crucial. So we're going to have maybe in the next couple of weeks, we're going to have one separate session just about this one. I think we should.
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah.
Sounds like a plan. Excellent. All right, guys. Well, thank you all for tuning in for this evening. I'm really pleased to be back. I know it's been a few weeks since we've not been online, so really pleased that we could do this evening. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. Hopefully you learned something. Thank you for your questions, and again, thanks for all the likes and loves. Great to see some nice activity from you guys online. So with that, thank you once again, and we shall see you hopefully next week.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Cheers, guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you.